Sketchy. Hello. Welcome to a bonus deluxe biggie installment of Sketchy. I mean, it's only 4 drawings, and I frequently do 3 or 4 drawings, but this time I've got a lot of footage, and I think this is a fun one. I think this is just a big one in concept. I decided it was time to celebrate Laika, the stop motion animation studio, and ultimately decided that the way to do that, somewhat arbitrarily, was to celebrate Laika girls from at least the first 4 Laika films. That would be Winifred here from Box Trolls, and we're also going to see Coraline and Courtney from Paranorman, and then a girl from Kubo and the Two Strings, the small girl from the village. I don't know if she's a named character. I feel like I saw somewhere that her name is Mari, but that might not be correct. But she was just another. I wanted to stick to young girls for whatever reason. I just wanted to put a bunch of kids together in this series, and there's some cool female characters elsewhere in the Laika films. Of course, there's Mother from Coraline, and there is great female characters in Missing Link. But I wanted this to be the kids in this particular exercise. So here is Winifred, voiced, I believe, by Ella Fanning. And Box Trolls, boy, what a crazy movie. What a great movie. But just, well, I guess the thing to talk about as I'm drawing 4 character designs is how Laika famously, somewhat, if you're an animation nerd, does not have really what could be called a consistent studio style. So, Disney and Pixar have in-house styles. They certainly will push them and stretch them and add to them and do things that are experimental, but there is a house style to which they're going to adhere fairly strictly, and they're going to only experiment within certain parameters. And so, meanwhile, Laika, they start from a clean slate every single film. They just design to the project, and so you don't have really a Laika look, except perhaps that the physical nature of their puppets lends itself to a certain tactile type of a look and feel. But as far as the design work of the artist goes, they have a whole lot of freedom. Even within a film, they will create some wildly disparate character designs. And Winifred's a great design. She's a little rich girl. She's not quite happy, though, with the status quo. She's not afraid to make trouble. She's kind of neglected by her awful father. I watched these movies recently, so these are fresh in my mind. They recently came out on 4K. I have been eagerly awaiting, as I've discussed in earlier videos, I've been eagerly awaiting any animation on 4K. CG, hand-drawn, stop motion. And Laika, Disney and Pixar have started putting some of their biggest titles out on 4K, and a lot of the streaming on Disney Plus is available in 4K. But I'm looking for that home video release, baby. And Laika just put out their first 4 films on 4K, and so I've been snatching those up and enjoying them. And that's quite the challenge must be, obviously, if you shoot in high definition or 4K, and then you live action, and then you put it out, you just need to have the best processing available and the best transfer of the film. But when we're talking about animation, we're talking about the work of artists, or I guess Pixar would be the one, or current Disney, who are rendering CG. That's just a matter of horsepower and putting out the high. Hopefully these things were created in HDR, 4K, or whatever. Perhaps they're at an even higher resolution than that. The point is, stop motion is interesting because you're looking at photography of real-world elements, which of course has been massaged by CG. Here's me struggling, by the way. I really thought Coraline would be the easiest one. She's got the most simplistic, but this is just like drawing portraits. Somebody with an easy face, with a kind of plain set of features. That's not a judgmental word, just saying like a typical set of features. Very, very hard to capture, and I was really struggling. And you'll see that this face will change many times. I am already in the inking stage, but I think I will replace this head at some point. But anyway, really enjoying Laika in 4K. All that is to say. This, of course, an iconic look of Coraline in her yellow raincoat with her divining stick. Coraline, of course, was a revelation of a movie. Nightmare Before Christmas had already come out and hit, and stop motion was a viable feature film technique. But then along comes Laika and Coraline and this amazing adaptation of this great book, and really, really holds up well. I'd recommend Henry Selick's commentary track on the Blu-ray or the 4K if you can grab it. I have opinions about all the quality of all of the audio commentaries, but I'm not going to get into that. I only have a limited amount of time to talk to you about my drawings. So here's Coraline, trying a little bit of a stylistic exercise. I guess what I should talk about is the fact that here I am taking, I'm not going all, there is of course hand-drawn character design work, conceptual work, which is then translated into 3 dimensions for the puppetry and the animation in the final films. I'm not availing myself of that in this exercise. I am looking at the films themselves, and I'm doing my own work to translate the 3-dimensional puppets in the films into 2D drawings, and using a kind of soft colored line aesthetic to do so. And wasn't sure as I was working on these how successful it was. In the end, I'm pretty pleased with this set. And as I say, Coraline was strangely the hardest one when I did not think she would be. But here we go. That's about it. I am going to add I'm going to flatten all that color into one layer, and then I'm going to add some highlight and some shadow. I don't believe I've done that on all of these, but it seemed like it was just necessary here with Coraline. There I am exporting it to my phone. But an interesting aspect of this exercise is the translation of a 3-dimensional object. And in the case of Laika, really, they do not restrict themselves. They're not particularly interested in symmetry or aesthetics, traditional aesthetics. They have their own aesthetics. And so these are very, very interesting, lopsided, organic feeling characters. I would say perhaps this little girl from Kubo, might be the most traditionally designed, just in terms of being a cute kid character, in a very traditional costume and presentation. But very very hard, but also just kind of a lot of leeway. You feel free to interpret these very strange objects, these Laika characters. Whereas if it's Disney, a lot of smoothing has already been done. A lot of stylization has already been done, and it's been kind of boiled down to an essence. Whereas I feel like Laika's not afraid to be more artistic and to leave some more rough edges intentionally. I'm not accusing them. I'm not saying it is a negative thing. I'm saying that it really is unique in the world of feature animation that, usually concept art, if you look at concept art for big animated films, it will sometimes be very radical in nature. And then by the time it gets to the screen, it has been sanded down and turned into a marketable and usually very attractive, appealing cartoon character. But I think Laika is more likely than the others to keep some of the shagginess of their concept art in the final characters. And I think that's what makes their movies so rich, what makes them, when they're scary, they're scarier, when they're funny, they're funnier, when they're touching, they're more affecting. And that makes it a shame that, I hope that we get more films, at least if the studio itself, I don't know the status of Laika these days. It is encouraging to see how much stop motion is coming out, though, between Laika and Selick going off and doing Wendell and Wild with Monkey's Paw and with Del Toro and his Pinocchio, and he's already announced another stop motion film. So it is an exciting time to be a fan of stop motion animation. And here is, again, I do not know the name of this character. I believe it is Mari, but I'm not sure. She might be unnamed. And I'm not certain what I'm doing here because I'm exporting again. I export these after I draw them to my phone, and if I'm very confident and excited, I will immediately post them to social media. But usually, sometimes what I'm doing is putting it on my phone so that I can put the drawing pad down and go about my business. And then as I move on through my day, I will look at my phone. If I've got a few hours distance from something that I drew earlier, I will look at it and I'll know instantly if it works or not, if it needs more work, or if I scrap the whole thing. So that's how that goes. It's very rare that I know immediately that I've nailed something. I usually need some time. And this is Courtney Babcock from Paranorman, which might be my favorite. I don't know. Have I already said that two others are my favorites? I really love Paranorman. I love the weird story. I love the surprising themes and moral of the story. I love the crazy looking characters. And I really like this this kind of extra gawky version of a teenage girl, voiced by Anna Kendrick, I believe, in the film. But just really, really love this design. Had a lot of fun turning it into a drawing. Love the detail. She has a little bit of a tummy sticking out. Just love it. She's not a typical, like awkwardly perfect teenage character. Like, she's truly awkward. She's truly probably would be considered one of the popular girls, I believe, in the world of the movie. And yet, in Laika's hands, she still is a little bit grotesque. And I love that. I might have gone a little too soft on the lines here, just in terms of the consistency of this series. I think I should have kept her with that purple line that I had previously, the dark lavender kind of line. But this looks nice as well. I'm running out of things to say, but I'm running out of time, so it all comes together. Here is my coloring technique. I won't talk about that anymore. I do have some videos, I believe, coming up with alternate coloring methods, so I'll talk about that. But this is my typical kind of crayon fill and then erasing the edges. I've talked about it at length elsewhere. It helps me get the texture in the color that I want. And yeah, lest I ramble, I guess I will wrap it up and say this was a lot of fun. I expect to do more Laika stuff. I might want to do some creatures, animals and creatures and monsters from Laika. They have really, really great zombie designs and monster designs, and I will probably spend some time doing that soon. I want to do that with Pixar as well. I love Pixar movies. I'm not trying to keep it snooty here, but if I was going to do some Pixar drawings, I would probably try to choose some unsung characters, some side characters, some interesting stuff that you maybe wouldn't typically see in Disney Pixar fan art. So stay tuned for all of that and more coming soon. Thanks so much for watching this extra bonus deluxe biggie sized sketchy. See you next time. Goodbye.